Welcome to Tomorrow Lore. Tonight, we descend, not into darkness, but into a different kind of light, a world that covers 70% of our planet, yet remains more mysterious than the surface of Mars. This is the story of the first permanent colony beneath the ocean, the story of those who chose to leave the land behind and what they discovered in the deep. Let the surface world fade. Breathe slowly, deeply, and follow me down. Part 1. Dr. Sarah Chen pressed her palm against the transparent aluminum viewport, watching the last rays of sunlight fracture into dancing columns of blue-green light. The submersible descended steadily, smoothly, carrying her and 43 others toward a home they'd never seen. 200 meters, 300, 400. The world above became a memory, a distant shimmer. Down here, pressure was measured not just in atmospheres, but in commitment. There would be no quick trips back to the surface, no emergency evacuations. The colony, Poseidon Station they called it, was designed for permanence. 500 meters deep. Sarah had studied oceanography for 20 years. She'd made hundreds of dives. But this was different. This wasn't research. This wasn't temporary. This was moving. Beside her sat young Marcus, barely 19, his eyes wide with wonder. He'd grown up in Phoenix, Arizona, about as far from ocean as you could get on the North American continent. Yet here he was, choosing to spend the rest of his life underwater. Scared? She asked him. He shook his head, then reconsidered. Excited, and yes, a little scared. Is that normal? Completely normal. Sarah smiled. I'd be worried if you weren't scared. The submersible's interior lights cast soft shadows. Around them, 42 other colonists sat in quiet contemplation. Some meditated, some slept. A few watched the viewport, mesmerized by the deepening blue. They came from everywhere. Engineers from Singapore, artists from Brazil, teachers from Norway, medical personnel from Ghana, a chef from Italy who'd worked in 3 Michelin-star restaurants but dreamed of something more challenging than pleasing wealthy diners. Each had their reasons. Escape, adventure, purpose, legacy. For Sarah, it was simpler than all that. The ocean had always been home. She just hadn't been able to live there yet. Until now. 600 meters. The pressure outside would crush an unprotected human in seconds. But the submersible's hull held firm, its systems whispering reassurance through soft status tones. Through the viewport, she caught her first glimpse of it. Poseidon Station. A constellation of lights in the deep. Spherical habitats connected by transparent tunnels anchored to the seamount below, floating in the twilight zone where sunlight became suggestion rather than certainty. It was beautiful, otherworldly, like a space station, but instead of the void, surrounded by life, by mystery, by an entire world humanity was only beginning to understand. The submersible adjusted its trajectory, gliding toward the main docking sphere. Marcus pressed his face to the viewport. "It's real," he whispered. "It's actually real." Sarah understood the wonder in his voice. For decades, underwater colonies had been science fiction. Jacques Cousteau's dream. Something always 10 years away, like fusion power or Mars settlements. But 3 things changed. First, the climate crisis forced innovation. Rising seas claimed coastal cities. Humanity needed new places to live, and the ocean offered space, not land above water, but volume within it. Second, technology caught up. Advanced materials, AI-controlled pressure systems, bioengineered algae that produced oxygen and food, fusion reactors small enough to power a colony indefinitely. Third, and perhaps most importantly, people were ready to try something radically different, ready to become a new kind of human. Homo aquaticus, some futurists called them, the colonists. The submersible docked with a gentle thud, pressure equalized with a hiss. The hatch opened, and Sarah Chen took her first breath of air in her new home, 600 meters beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean. Part 2. The main habitat was larger than it appeared from outside. The sphere measured 40 meters in diameter, its interior a marvel of efficient design. Living quarters spiraled around the outer wall. The center was open, a communal space with real trees, somehow thriving under specialized grow lights. A park, 600 meters underwater. "Your quarters are on level 3, section B," a voice said. Sarah turned to see Commander Liu, the station's leader. A former submarine captain, she'd spent more of her life underwater than on land even before the colony existed. "How does it feel?" Sarah asked. Your dream? Finally real?" Commander Liu smiled, but there was weight in it. Ask me in 6 months. Right now, it feels like controlled chaos. We're writing the manual as we go. The first days were disorienting, not physically. The pressure equalization process had been perfected years ago, but psychologically, the mind kept expecting to go back up, to return to the surface after the shift ended. There was no shift. There was no going back up. This was life now. Sarah found her quarters, a small but comfortable room with a viewport looking out into the deep. She could see lights from other habitats in the distance, living quarters, research labs, the agricultural sphere where bioengineered kelp and algae farms would feed the colony, and beyond the lights, the ocean itself, dark, vast, alive. She sat by the viewport for hours that first night, watching. Bioluminescent creatures drifted past like living stars. A 6-gill shark glided through her field of vision, ancient and perfect. In the distance, something large moved, too large to identify, there and gone in the darkness. A knock on her door. Marcus stood in the corridor, looking lost. "Can't sleep?" Sarah asked. "I keep thinking I hear things. Noises in the walls." "You probably do. The station breathes, expands, and contracts slightly with temperature changes. Plus, you're hearing the ocean. It's loud down here. You'll get used to it." He sat on her floor, looking young and uncertain. "Did we make a mistake? Coming here?" It was an honest question. Sarah considered it carefully. "My grandfather was an astronaut," she said finally. "One of the last shuttle missions before they were discontinued. I asked him once if he was scared going into space. He said yes, terrified, but he told me something I've never forgotten." She looked out at the dark water. "He said the only real mistake is refusing to move forward. Humanity doesn't advance by staying comfortable. We advance by choosing difficult things, scary things, and doing them anyway. Not recklessly, but deliberately." Marcus absorbed this silently. "We're pioneers," Sarah continued. "That comes with uncertainty, with risk, but also with the chance to be part of something genuinely new. How many humans can say they helped establish an entirely new way of living?" "When you put it that way," Marcus smiled slightly. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we start work, and there's a lot of work to do." The first month was a blur of systems checks, training protocols, and adjustment, both mechanical and human. The mechanical part was straightforward. Learn the emergency procedures, understand the life support systems, master the pressure suits required for external work. The human part was harder. 44 people confined together 600 meters from the nearest exit. Personalities clashed, couples formed and dissolved. Someone was always using the common areas when you wanted quiet. Privacy became a precious commodity, but they adapted. Sarah found herself falling into a routine. Mornings, if you could call them that, in a place with no natural day-night cycle, she worked in the marine biology lab. The ocean here teemed with life rarely seen by human eyes. Creatures perfectly adapted to pressure, to darkness, to cold. She studied them, learned from them, how they conserved energy, how they communicated in the deep, how they thrived in what surface dwellers would call inhospitable conditions. Afternoons, she taught classes. Every colonist was expected to cross-train, to learn skills outside their specialty. Sarah taught oceanography to engineers. They taught her mechanical systems. Evenings were communal, meals together in the central sphere, under the trees that shouldn't exist but did. Music sometimes. Marcus had brought a guitar. Stories, debates about politics, philosophy, the future, and slowly, gradually, something remarkable happened. They stopped feeling like 44 individuals stuck together. They started feeling like a community. "You've changed," Commander Liu observed one evening. They were sitting by the viewport in the command sphere, watching a pod of sperm whales pass in the distance. Massive shadows accompanied by clicking songs that resonated through the station's hull. "How so?" Sarah asked. "You smile more. You're lighter." Sarah considered this. "I think I spent most of my life on the surface, feeling like I was visiting, like I didn't quite belong up there. Here. You're home." "Yes," the commander nodded. "That's what I hoped would happen, not just for you, but for everyone. We can't survive down here on training and technology alone. We need people who want to be here, who choose this." The whales passed, their song fading into the deep. "There's something I haven't told the general colonist population yet." "Oh, WEF, Commander," Liu said quietly. "But you should know, we received word last week, 3 more colonies are under construction: Mediterranean, Indian Ocean, Arctic Basin." Sarah's breath caught. 3 more? We're not an experiment anymore, Dr. Chen. We're a proof of concept. If we succeed, if we build a functioning, sustainable society down here, we're not the first and last colony. We're the first of many. Exactly. The weight of that settled over Sarah like the pressure outside. How it was. They weren't just surviving, they were paving a way. Every system they perfected, every problem they solved, every innovation they discovered, it would be replicated, improved, expanded. Humanity was coming to the ocean, not as visitors, as residents, for discovery. 3 months into the colony's existence, Sarah made a discovery that changed everything. She'd been studying the local cephalopod population, octopuses, squid, cuttlefish. Intelligent creatures, their cognition alien yet fascinating. She'd set up observation equipment around the station, cameras and sensors recording their behavior. And she noticed something impossible. The octopuses were using the station. Not randomly, not instinctively. They were using the exterior lights to hunt, positioning themselves in shadows and striking at prey, attracted to the illumination. They were using the station's electromagnetic field for navigation. They were even using the waste heat from the reactors, gathering in certain areas where the warmth drew smaller creatures. Tool use, environmental adaptation, intelligence. But more than that, they were teaching each other. Sarah watched footage of an older octopus demonstrating a hunting technique to a younger one, using the lights, showing deliberately how to position, when to strike. "This is extraordinary," her research assistant breathed, watching over her shoulder. "Intergenerational knowledge transfer in cephalopods. It's been theorized but never conclusively documented." Sarah's mind raced with implications. We've changed their environment and they're adapting to it, incorporating us into their world. Should we report this? I mean, this is major. Yes, but... Sarah paused, something nagging at her. "Let's observe more first. I want to understand what we're seeing." Over the following weeks, she documented more behaviors. The octopuses weren't just using the station, they were congregating around it. Different species that normally avoided each other coexisting in the station's light and warmth. An artificial reef, an ecosystem forming around humanity's presence. But Sarah sensed something deeper. The octopuses watched them through viewports during external maintenance work, watched with intelligent, curious eyes. One day, during a routine suit check outside the main habitat, Sarah found herself face to face with an enormous Pacific giant octopus. It hung in the water before her, tentacles spread, eyes fixed on her faceplate. She should have been afraid. The creature was massive, easily capable of overwhelming her suit's systems if it chose to, but she wasn't afraid. Slowly, carefully, she raised her gloved hand. The octopus extended a tentacle. They touched. Pressure-suited human and wild octopus. 2 intelligent species, meeting as... what? Neighbors? The octopus held contact for a long moment, its skin flashing with colors. Communication had from Sarah didn't yet understand, then it released her and vanished into the darkness. When she returned inside, trembling with adrenaline and wonder, Marcus was waiting. "Dr. Chen, you have to see this." He led her to the agricultural sphere. The kelp farms were growing faster than projected, the algae bioreactors producing above expected yields. "We thought it was just good conditions," Marcus explained. "But look," he showed her underwater footage. Fish were helping, actually helping. Herbivorous species were eating competing algae species, but leaving the crops untouched. Predatory fish were controlling pests. "It's like they understand what we're trying to do," Marcus said, wonder in his voice. "Like they're cooperating," Sarah finished. 5. Commander Liu called an all-hands meeting in the central sphere. Every colonist gathered under the impossible trees, floating in their underwater garden. "We came here with a plan," the commander began. "Build a colony, prove humans could live permanently in the ocean, demonstrate sustainability, then potentially expand." She paused, looking around at the assembled faces. "But something unexpected is happening, something not in any of our mission parameters. Dr. Chen, would you share your findings?" Sarah stood nervous. She'd prepared a presentation, footage, data, but standing here before her fellow colonists, she realized the science wasn't what mattered. "We're not alone down here," she said simply. "And I don't just mean there are fish and octopuses around us. I mean, they're aware of us, responding to us, adapting to our presence in ways that suggest intelligence, cooperation, even curiosity." She showed them footage, the octopuses teaching each other, the fish helping with agriculture, whales that altered their migration routes to pass near the station as if checking on the new neighbors. When we came here, Sarah continued, we thought of ourselves as pioneers, settlers, bringing human civilization to a new frontier. But that frame was wrong. We're not settlers, we're guests, new members of an ecosystem that's existed for millions of years. Silence in the sphere. She could see it registering on faces, understanding, wonder, a fundamental shift in perspective. An older colonist, Dr. Okonkwo, spoke up. You're suggesting we change our entire approach? Rewrite the mission? I'm suggesting we already have, Sarah said, whether we intended to or not. The ocean is responding to us, life is responding to us, and we have a choice, continue as we planned as conquerors and extractors, or learn to be part of it, Commander Liu finished. Partners, participants. The discussion that followed lasted hours, passionate, uncertain, exciting. By the end, consensus emerged. Not imposed from leadership, but grown organically from the community. They would stay, they would continue building, but they would also listen, learn, let the ocean teach them how to live within it rather than apart from it. New protocols were established. Before any expansion, consult with marine biologists, study the impact. Consider the existing ecosystem not as something to manage, but as a community to join. Research shifted, less about extracting knowledge from the ocean, more about understanding how to communicate with it. Education changed. Children, yes, children, 3 colonists were pregnant, would be raised to see themselves not as humans living underwater, but as oceanic beings who happened to be human. 6 months after her arrival, Sarah floated in the Central Spheres Park, looking up through the transparent roof at the dark water above. Marcus found her there, as he often did. Thinking about the surface? He asked. Not really. Thinking about what surface even means. We use it like it's the default, the normal, but why? Just because we evolved there? Most people still live there. For now, Sarah smiled. But give it time. Word is spreading. Applications for the next 3 colonies are in the hundreds of thousands. People want this, a new way of living. Do you ever regret it? Coming here? Sarah considered the question. Did she miss sunlight? Yes. Fresh wind? Sometimes. The feeling of earth beneath her feet? Occasionally. But regret? No, she said firmly. I regret nothing. Through the transparent ceiling, a massive shape passed, a whale probably, or something else, something unknown. The ocean kept its secrets even from those who lived within it, and that was perfect. The first astronauts who went to space, Sarah said quietly, they looked back at Earth and saw it whole for the first time, saw its beauty, its fragility. It changed them, changed how they understood being human. You think we're like them? I think we're the other side of the same coin. They left Earth to understand it better. We went deeper into Earth for the same reason, and what we're learning. She trailed off, struggling to articulate it. We're learning we were never separate from the ocean. Tonight, we descend, Marcus said, understanding. We just forgot for a while. Exactly. A school of fish swam through the park. The colonists had stopped sealing the interior completely, allowing ocean life to move freely through certain areas. The fish had learned to avoid the living quarters, but loved the park. Symbiosis, integration, evolution happening in real time. My grandfather wrote me a letter, Sarah said. Before I came down, he's 93 now, won't live much longer. He said something I've been thinking about constantly. What did he say? He said that every few generations, humanity is offered a chance to reimagine itself, to become something new. Most generations don't get that opportunity. They live, they die, the world stays mostly the same. But some generations, they get to choose what comes next. She looked at Marcus, this young man who'd come from a desert to live in the deepest ocean. We're one of those generations, and we chose this, to be different, to try something impossible, to trust that humans could adapt, could integrate, could become part of the ocean rather than its conquerors. Was he proud? Marcus asked. Your grandfather? Sarah smiled, tears in her eyes. He said he wished he could visit, see what we've built, but his body won't handle the pressure anymore. So instead he watches our broadcasts, shows them to his friends in the retirement home, tells them stories about his granddaughter who lives where sunlight doesn't reach. He sounds amazing. He is, and he's right. We're writing the next chapter, not just of human history, but of human possibility. Above them, Through the transparent ceiling, bioluminescent creatures painted constellations against the darkness, their own stars, their own sky, different from the surface, but no less beautiful. Commander Liu stood in the command sphere looking at the communications display. Messages from the surface, updates on the 3 new colonies, all ahead of schedule. Applications for future colonies now numbering in the millions. But also something else. A message from her sister, still living in Shanghai. The city was flooding more each year, the sea reclaiming what had been taken from it. "I understand now," her sister wrote. "You weren't running away, you were running toward. And when the time comes, when we all have to make that choice, I think I'll choose what you chose. I'll come down." Commander Liu smiled, tears on her cheeks. They'd done it, proven it was possible, not just to survive underwater, but to thrive, to build something beautiful and functional and genuinely new. The first colony beneath the ocean, but not the last. Never the last. Sarah Chen floated in her quarters, looking out her viewport at the endless dark. In a few hours, she'd teach her morning class. After that, research work, a fascinating project studying cetacean communication. But right now, in this quiet moment, she simply existed. A human, breathing recycled air, living in a titanium sphere, surrounded by billions of gallons of salt water and pressure that would kill her instantly if the systems failed. And she had never felt more alive. The ocean sang its ancient song. The station hummed its modern harmony. And somewhere in between, life continued its eternal dance. Different now, changed, evolving. The first colony beneath the waves, the beginning of humanity's return. Thank you for descending with us tonight into the deep. May your dreams carry you to places both familiar and strange, where the impossible becomes simply what comes next. Until next time, drift peacefully.